Welcome to the Solex podcast, where we discuss changing the way people approach their health. Everything at its most fundamental level is energy and frequency, and we are proud to be at the forefront of this field, even though we're just scratching the surface.
In September of 2023, we introduced MindSync. It's probably the most underutilized program in the whole AO scanner.
Absolutely it is.
And it's probably because it's a little intimidating. It's helping people do their own affirmations, to do their own self-talk. And we all know we don't do a really good job of that.
No,
at least not in a good way.
No, we don't.
So tell me a little bit about your experiences with MindSync, and then let's talk a little bit about what MindSync is.
Well, positive affirmations they are vital. I started using those when I first started my practice. It was part of a healing program because the messages that we tell ourselves determine everything about our lives, our health, our relationships, our financial situations, everything. But we have accumulated years of messages, either from other people or things we've told ourselves, and that's what's playing in the background.
And they're mostly negative.
Mostly negative.
Okay, so when you mention affirmations to people, a lot of times they'll go off in left field somewhere. Yeah. An affirmation, something I have to say. Do you know every time you get up in the morning, you say, I don't like my hair, or I don't like, you've just said an affirmation. And because it was the real you speaking, it went right through to your core.
Your cells don't know what's true and what's not true. They only know what you're putting out there.
That's right.
Every single thing you put out, they go along with as if that's the reality.
That's true. MindSync is what makes it so unique from everything else is that we're taking an affirmation, whether it's just like, I like myself, or I remember names, or whatever that affirmation is. And we're doing it in such a way, we're presenting it to our brain where we step over the subconscious barrier and we go right to our conscious soul, our truth. And the way MindSync works is you record an affirmation. It can be simple. In fact, we've made it so simple. You can actually pick, a health one or a prosperity one or whatever. And there's a whole list of things you can say or choose not to say. Mm-hmm. And you just record those.
Or you can make your own list.
Yeah, absolutely. Even better. And then what the program does is it takes that and it makes a mirror copy of that. And then it plays one in one ear and one in the other ear. But what it does that makes it magical is it bumps it 8 hertz up. So there's an 8 hertz difference. Well, what the brain focuses on is not what it's hearing in the 2 ears. It's focusing on what's in the middle. And when that happens, you hear it more in the center of your head than in an ear. And the brain says, that's right. That's the truth. And it goes in.
That is what I felt. When I first started using it, I literally had a hard time getting some of the words out. And I thought that was really interesting. I literally had tears in my eyes and had difficulty speaking some of those words. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So what that told me was my subconscious doesn't believe this.
Yeah.
My heart believes it, but there's a dissonance here. And I want these to be my truths. So I had to push through the tough words, the difficult feelings, the tears. And as I started listening to my voice repeating these affirmations over and over, instead of those other messages that are going to play 24/7, you're not good enough. You can't afford this. You don't have that ability. Those are the messages that are playing for everybody. Everybody is limited only by their own thoughts.
That is so true. And the thing is, when you said that I had a difficult time even speaking the words, it's because we've either been beaten down by someone else or by our own insecurities, that those have become our foundation.
Yes.
And you're starting to shake that foundation. When we speak these words that are really the truths, not the lies.
Right.
I am good enough and I deserve these things and I am these things. When we speak that way over a period of time and we can get it into our conscious by going over that subconscious wall that says, no, you're not.
Right.
Then we can see those changes in our life. You were sharing with me earlier some of the changes that you saw in your life when you started using MindSync. Share some of those.
Ooh. So as I started reprogramming myself, what I have found effective for myself is because when I'm sleeping at night, I know that messages are going to be playing. So I thought, okay, if I can listen to my MindSync a few times until I feel it centered in my head, and then turn it down to where I can just barely make out the words and hear that bubbling water in the background, I can reprogram myself because I'm forcing a new I am truth all night long. I literally could feel my body shift towards that. It was like I felt all my cells like smile.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like plants reaching up for the sun. And when I would wake up in the morning, I do it still. I feel like a new person because I have been reshaping and reprogramming all of those statements about who I am, what I am, and I wake up in a whole different field. So most of you know that I just started bodybuilding last January. And again, my trainer was always telling me, Sheila, it's just weight. Are you going to let a little weight overpower you? Well, it's in your mind.
Sure.
The only thing that limits us is our own limiting beliefs. Our subconscious is really stupid. It believes everything that we tell it. So if we're telling it negative things, that becomes our reality.
Yep.
If we're telling it positive things, that becomes our reality. So I went from barely being able to move a leg press machine, which the machine itself is about 35, 45 pounds. No weights on it. That was difficult for me. A couple of weeks after using MindSync, I'm pushing 300 pounds.
Good heavens.
300.
And so what happened? Did you go on and get 3 times the muscle mass?
Not in a couple of weeks.
No. What happens is your whole foundation was rebuilt.
Yes.
I can do these things.
Yes.
I am capable of these things. It's reminded of the stories we hear of a mother sees her child fall underneath a car and she panics and runs out, lifts the car, gets the baby out, and then realized she just lifted, a 3,000 pound car.
Because she didn't have time to stop and think, I can't do that. That's too heavy.
That's right. I'm reminded I was listening to it was another podcast, and it was a gentleman being interviewed who claims he'd been abducted by an alien or aliens. And he's being interviewed by these aliens. And the one alien said to him, "You humans have no idea who you are, what your true potential is, and what your place in this universe is." And it's just so sad.
It is sad.
Whether that's what actually happened, that is a truth.
It is a truth.
We don't understand who we are. We don't realize our potential. And we, most of the time, don't even try to exercise to our potential, which is sad.
It is because we've given in to all those other messages. Either, you were raised with bad programming or you've just adopted it, but it's also become social norm. Negative self-talk is the norm.
Yeah.
And people are just not living up to their full potential, which to me, not only are they being deprived of a vibrant life that they were put here, but they're also denying the rest of the world because everybody was put here to make a big impact.
Not only are they doing that and denying themselves, they're probably contributing to the bad programming of those around them.
Absolutely.
So MindSync, when we take a look at the MindSync in its simplest form, at first it can look a little intimidating. I got to do this. And a lot of us don't like to hear our own voice, correct? We hear our voice and say, "Oh, I don't like that."
So mine started out really awful, and it was painful to listen to. But literally after a couple of weeks, my voice started changing.
Yeah.
And my friends started noticing, and they're like, "Your voice is changing." I'm like, "Yeah, it does sound different."
A little more confidence,
Yes.
a little more solidness. No, it's true. So my advice to people who are starting off with MindSync is to sit down and just forget about the recording part of it. Open up those affirmations. And like you said, you had a hard time reading some of those because they didn't resonate with you at the time when they should have. And just read them and get comfortable with them. Because when it comes time to actually record those, you need to speak from your heart.
Yes.
As if it's already happened.
Yes, absolutely. And another thing that I really was excited that we did with MindSync was recording our voice, because even though it might be difficult to hear it, your body recognizes that voice and it responds to it. Instead of some other things that I've tried before, listening to somebody else, it just didn't resonate with me. It didn't feel the same.
No. I was told once that there's three important voices. The most important voice we can hear is the voice of God. The second most important voice that we hear is our own. And the third is the voice of our mother. And it's so true. When we learn to speak to ourselves the way we would speak to somebody that we adored, if we could learn just to do that, to speak kindness and to, take that emotion that we put behind someone that we adore, and we just do it in the mirror.
Yeah.
And adore ourselves, then we actually can start to make the change that we need to make.
Yeah.
And then, like the alien said, we'll actually know who we are and what our potential is. So if you were going to sit down with somebody that just got their scanner, they've gone into MindSync, and they want to start doing this, how would you guide them through that?
Well, I would tell them to think about the things that are the most important to them at this moment, because that's changing all the time. To take a look through the different options that are there, take a look through the playlists. And if they have something different in mind, maybe they want to lose weight.
Yeah.
So we can, maybe make up affirmations about that. But they need to be thinking about what is most important to them. They also need to take the time to be willing to be present in the moment instead of these quick fixes. People just want to record it, listen, and go on. It works so much more powerful if you will be present with it, speak these affirmations as if they are true. And it's going to be hard for some people, some of these words. And then speak clearly. Be patient. Feel it as if these things have already come true. Because again, your subconscious does not know the truth or lies. It only knows what you're putting out there. If you are putting out there the reality that you want, your cells gravitate towards that.
That's true. Yep. We will go to where like if you're driving the car and you look off to the left, where does the car go?
It goes sure to the left. Does.
And so when we start talking about the things that we want ourselves to be, we will go that direction.
Yeah.
There was a guy once said to his religious leader, he says, "I don't feel like praying." And his religious leader sat down with him and says, "Well, then pray until you do."
Right.
And the thing is you don't like how you sound, and these words you don't feel like that those match you right now. Say them until they do feel that way.
Yes.
Once you've got that and you can speak that way and you can speak that with conviction, record it. So you don't have to sit down the first time. You maybe won't even do a full recording your first couple times. Just get used to speaking it clearly. One of the things that came up too is some of those affirmation programs have 3 or 4 minutes of affirmations.
Yeah.
You don't need to speak all of those. Just speak the ones that are most important to you at this point. Record it, let it do its thing, and then just listen to it. And you said you do it at night. I think it's a great time because we go into theta at that time. We're putting the words into your head in theta at that time, and you resonate on that all night long. We heal better when we're sleeping.
Yes.
And that goes even for emotional healing.
Absolutely. So when I share with people that I like to listen to mine at night, I share this on my team calls and with my friends, and they're like, well, I try to do that, but my spouse doesn't really care to listen to my affirmations all night. Well, someone else had brought into the conversation, there's actually a headband that you can get on Amazon that's got earbuds here on the sides, and they're comfortable. You can sleep in these things. So a lot of people are using those now so the husband and the wife can listen to their own affirmations. There's not some big clumpy thing on the sides of their head. So I thought that was genius.
I think it is too. I'm not comfortable with the band on my head, but I saw some Bluetooth, what they call sleep Bluetooth earbuds.
Oh.
And they go inside and they fit inside your ear so you can lay on your ear and it doesn't hurt. And so I bought a pair of those. They weren't very expensive. And it's true. You can sleep any way you want and you hear it here and nobody else hears it. There's lots of ways we can get around that. And I think that's a good ways to do that. We talk about vision boards and dream boards, and they'll make these boards and they'll put the pictures on and they'll put it on the refrigerator so they see it every day. MindSync is basically a subconscious dream board.
Where focus goes, energy flows.
That's right. Such a good comment. That's so good. So when we can start looking at these things, and then we've heard it said, well, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I'm down here and I'm struggling with my day-to-day stuff. I can't see myself being even here. How do I get there? And it's back to those things, you just do it until it becomes real. Now, you're not going to say, I'm going to be able to fly through the air like Superman or stop a bullet.
Right.
So we have to be realistic in the things we want. So we're here at this level maybe, and we want to get to this level. Well, we don't have to do it all at once. We can start here. Okay.
Yes.
So maybe I'm going to get to where I feel like I can get up in the morning and say to myself, I'm a better person today. And maybe that's all your affirmation is.
Yeah.
And then after a little while, you're I'm feeling I'm a better person today. Maybe I'm actually going to try and make somebody else a better person today and lift them. And we start doing that. And we find that when we start to do things for other people, much more of that energy comes back to us.
But it's harder to do for other people when we're not kind to ourselves.
True. But we start and we do one step at a time.
Yep.
We start with ourselves and get the thing, I'm a better person today. And it's like I said, we don't have to eat the whole elephant in one bite. I mean, take a little bit at a time. I love MindSync in the sense that here's the thing, I don't think people understood or understand how much time it took to get MindSync to where we could do this. When we first developed MindSync, this was in 2005 or 6.
Wow.
It took 45 minutes to take your affirmations and put it into the left ear and right ear.
Oh, my goodness.
And now we're doing it in less than 2 or 3 seconds.
Wow.
And it's taken time to do this. All we're really trying to do is to kind of cheat the subconscious mind, because you'll say, I'm a good person. And the subconscious mind's going to shout back saying, no, you're not.
Right. Well, see, when I first started, I didn't have any intention of improving my gym performance with this. That wasn't even a thought. But I just noticed that was an end result because I was saying, I am confident. I am capable. I am able. Just all of that. It just started shifting my whole life. And then the weights were just a side benefit because I removed my limitations and those things that kept telling me I'm not.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. And the thing is, it's like a drug.
Yeah.
Because as you start to do it and you start to see those little benefits, pretty soon I say, I got to have another hit.
Yes.
And so when you go to bed that night, you get ready and you do your affirmations. I don't think affirmations need to be 2 or 3 minutes long. I think 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 affirmations recorded, and just listen to that all night, a little bit at a time. And by doing the left and the right different so that we focus on the center, it gets over the subconscious barrier. And so you don't have anything saying, no, you can't do that. No,
Right.
You're not those things, because it jumped over the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing that we need to help people, I think, understand, is that you have this tool in your hand. Utilize it, open it up, play with it. Don't let it intimidate you. Just take one little piece at a time. And in this case, we'd ask you to do MindSync. Take the MindSync, work on a few of those things. Because as you just pointed out, you weren't talking about your weight. You just were capable.
Right.
You were capable. You were successful. You had the confidence and trust in yourself. That related to, like you said, everything else in your life.
Right.
And weight was just one of those side things.
Yeah. We can do anything. Well, except for things like flying, but literally we have no limits except for what is in here.
That's so true.
This is where all the limits are, and we can change that.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what you were saying about the vision board, that's how the affirmations work. People create these vision boards of all these dreams that they have. They want to go on this fancy vacation. Maybe they want a boat or a car, or I don't know, maybe the perfect partner, or it's endless. I see people do this a lot. Well, the thing is, what they're doing is they're reminding themselves of what they want. Another thing might be for women more often, and sometimes men, is the body that they want, maybe because they're not ever happy with what they have. And that was what I was told. Put a picture up there of what you want it to be, and you focus on that, because your subconscious mind, again, is dumb. It only believes what you tell it. And if you're telling yourself, I'm fat, I'm weak, that is what you become. If you're telling yourself a whole different version of what you want to become, your cells go that direction, and it literally starts shaping your reality.
And the thing is, Sheila, you're proof of that.
Yeah.
That's already happened to you.
Yeah.
You were doing all these things before MindSync, and you hit a wall. You kind of hit, a plateau, and you started.
Well,
doing
I hit
MindSync.
the end of my limits.
That's right.
As far as I could go in
and
here.
it changed.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, I love that. I wasn't doing this for the weights. I was doing this for the other. That is so, so important. When we start to visualize us as something different, good, bad, or indifferent, that's exactly where we'll go. It's like driving off the road or not looking at our vision board. When we focus with true intent, then those things they can't be stopped.
Yeah. And I was listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza's Becoming Supernatural. There is so much information in that book, and he's done clinical trials with thousands of people. Talk about evidence and proof. They've got it. And it all goes into what we have here with our AO scan technologies and MindSync particularly. People literally healing themselves, visualizing, repeating affirmations, making that their reality. So you get to choose, am I going to settle for this reality or am I going to create a new reality?
Right. So back to MindSync. In their scanner, here's another tool that's underutilized, a tool that could literally change the direction of their life.
Absolutely.
And not just theirs, but those people that are in their circle, their bubble. And by just taking a few minutes, opening up your scanner, going to Cephi, going down to MindSync, and just starting to do that. And the hardest thing is to start, isn't it?
Yes.
It's always the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Once you've done it a few times, it becomes a routine, and then pretty soon it just becomes the habit.
Then it becomes an addiction.
Yeah, and it is the addiction. Well, Sheila, thanks so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
This is great.
Thanks for listening to the Solex podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and the AOScan mobile device is not a medical device and does not diagnose, treat, or cure any disease.